Good evening. We begin with breaking news. An Adelaide woman has been charged over an alleged plot to defraud millions of dollars from the NDIS.
Sarah Cumming joins us in the studio. Sarah, the woman works for the National Disability Insurance Agency.
Yes, that's right, Will, and she's accused of plotting to steal more than $5 million from the NDIS. Federal police today raided a home in Lakeview and seized a number of electronic devices. It's alleged the 48-year-old woman gained unauthorised access to protected records of 40 NDIA participants and submitted fraudulent claims, including on the behalf of her own family members. Investigators claim she pocketed $53,000 from the local provider as part of the total alleged $5 million plot. Search warrants were also executed at a Mawson Lakes home and a Prospect business where several electronic devices were seized. An NDIA spokesperson says anyone who abused their position for personal gain would be caught and held to account. The woman is facing a number of charges, including abuse of public office. She has been bailed to appear in the Adelaide Magistrates Court in August. Will?
All right, thank you, Sarah. An urgent review is underway after 7 News revealed a stranger had been camping in the roof of an Adelaide grandmother's home for months.
The Premier's described the case as startling, while the minister responsible insists the Housing Trust is making improvements.
It's a story that shocked the nation.
There's been someone up there this whole time, getting up and down in my home when I've been asleep.
For months, this pensioner who lives alone feared something or someone was living in her roof space. She claims those concerns were repeatedly dismissed by the Housing Trust until police found evidence.
There was all sorts of things, a bed, tins of food, crockery, cutlery, shoes and drugs.
While the search for the culprit continues, inquiries have been launched at the highest level.
Because it's pretty startling.
From the Housing Minister,
obviously we're treating it seriously and working with the tenant. We've secured the roof, the Housing Trust has visited the property, and as you would expect, the police are involved as well.
The Housing Trust has installed a more secure manhole and fixed the damaged roof tiles where it's believed the squatter got in. But the grandmother says she's still waiting for the locks to be changed.
I trust the Housing Trust to deal with these matters appropriately. They have 33,000 properties, 50,000 tenancies, and the Housing Trust deal with tenants' maintenance issues all the time.
The grandmother now wants to leave the property, saying she no longer feels safe. The Housing Minister says a transfer request was already in place before this nightmare happened, but finding another suitable home could take time.
You know, I had no idea what to think, but I know I don't want to live here anymore.
The Hutt Street Centre says while the circumstances are extraordinary, the case is symptomatic of South Australia's housing crisis.
What a tragic story, and it shows the desperation people who don't have a house to live go to just to get a roof over their head.
Jonathan Edwards, 7 News.
A young Modbury Heights woman has died after being struck by a garbage truck while walking to the bus stop on her way to work.
The 23-year-old was hit metres from home. The man behind the wheel reported for careless driving. The tragedy, one of 3 serious smashes this morning in a devastating hour on our roads.
Mel Whiteford Hall was walking to her bus stop this morning when she was hit by a garbage truck just metres from her home. The 23-year-old was on her way to work at a city burger bar, a trip she'd made many times before.
I just had the police call me this morning and just inform me about what happened and just asked if any of my cameras inside my house had picked up any footage of the girl walking past or anything of the truck.
Melrose Street residents who heard the crash have told 7 News her injuries were so horrific they could do nothing for her.
My heart goes out not only to the families impacted, the individuals impacted and the communities, but the first responders that go out.
Major crash investigators examined the scene and checked the vehicle's horn. The man behind the wheel, a 48-year-old from Prospect, has been reported for causing Miss Whiteford Hall's death by careless driving. A specialist mechanic from the police's heavy vehicle enforcement unit also spent hours inspecting the truck involved.
Oh, it's scary, like just seeing all the little kids riding push bikes around here. I've got a little one on the way. Like, it's just scary things to think about.
Lauren Rose, 7 News.
And a 43-year-old man from Nankita has been killed in a motorbike crash near Langhorne Creek. His BMW slammed into a winery on Langhorne Creek Road and caught fire at 8:45 this morning. A section of the road was closed for several hours while major crash officers investigated.
And just an hour later, a man from Paradise was killed in a fiery crash near the Bend Motorsport Park. The Dukes Highway was closed for most of the day as a hay truck continued to burn.
A horrific crash on the Dukes Highway. Emergency crews raced to the straight stretch of road at El Wampool just before 10 a.m. A semi carrying bales of hay was on fire after it collided head-on with a sedan that had run off into trees about 100 metres down the road. When farmer Kevin Cowell saw smoke billowing, he immediately jumped on his quad bike and went to help.
I was over there, just over at the house, and there was just a big black cloud of smoke come across.
CFS volunteers tried to put out the flames, spreading quickly through the hay bales as paramedics went to try and save the driver.
Oh, well, that's just smashed up, really, all the sides ripped out. Looks like it's something's knocked a heap of trees down.
The firefighters asked Kevin for the use of his tractor to try and separate the burning bales.
Well, that many road train load of hay, that'll burn for a day or so. You can't really put out putting water on it.
It's understood the truck driver has been taken to hospital. Friends of the car's driver arrived at this roadblock looking for the victim. They'd received a notification on their phone that a serious crash had happened. The highway remained closed until major crash investigators have examined the scene. Police want to hear from anyone who witnessed the crash or may have dashcam footage leading up to it. Peter Caldecott, 7 News.
The City Council fears 200 trees will need to be cut down to make way for next year's MotoGP. The Lord Mayor claims a new report shows the losses will be much higher than the Premier's initial estimate of 45 trees.
I think that, a couple of hundred is a fairly conservative estimate, about 80 for the track with a minimum 12 metres, but we know it will have to be much wider, and about 100 at minimum guesstimate for the runoff areas.
The council remains at loggerheads with the state government over plans for the event.
Look, the Adelaide City Council have made their position clear. They don't want MotoGP in South Australia. And so they're obviously going to raise any issue they can to undermine the event.
And the MotoGP debate follows the removal of more than 500 trees for the North Adelaide golf course redevelopment.